Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Welcome to ThePrint. I have with me today the European Union Ambassador to India, Mr. Ugo Astuto. Sir, my first question to you will be in this condition where Europe is facing the huge crisis for COVID-19, how is the European Union coping up with the measures that they have taken, whereas we are seeing on one hand countries like Germany able to control the pandemic, however, on the other hand, countries like France and Italy are having a situation where the cases are increasing every day. If you would like to throw some light on that.
We are starting now to see in Europe some signals that the curve of infection may be slowing. Hopefully it will regress, starting from those countries that have been hit first. But obviously we must remain vigilant. We must remain determined. The virus, it's definitely too early to lower our guard. When it comes to what the EU has done, well, we have taken, the EU and its member states have taken very tough measures based on the best available scientific expertise and evidence. So we have stepped up coordination. We have ensured provisions of medical equipment. We have been coordinating on the delivery of masks and respirators, which are so sorely needed in the present circumstances. We've also mobilized a substantial amount, 140 million euro for research on vaccine specifically. And we've also introduced some temporary restrictions on travel. But let me say that beyond what we do domestically, we've also engaged globally. And we are supporting the global efforts to fight the virus. Specifically, let me mention 400 million euro, which have been set aside to boost the global effort towards containment. These funds will be channeled through the World Health Organization. So we are taking all necessary measures, be it domestically. We are participating in the global endeavor because it's a global crisis. And the health emergency comes first, but in parallel, we also need to start to devise the appropriate tools to counter the economic fallout of the crisis.
Okay, also, if I can ask you, Ambassador, in this kind of a pandemic situation, how do you see India and the European Union is, they can sort of collaborate in sort of controlling the situation? We are seeing the kind of collaborative efforts India is taking with other countries, including the US. But how do you think with the European Union and the member states, we can collaborate?
Well, we certainly can. We have to. And the EU and India start from the same proposition, which is that we need a multilateral response. And we need to strengthen international cooperation and solidarity to face the crisis. So we need to work together to reinforce all multilateral mechanisms we have at our disposal to face the crisis, be it the UN, notably the World Health Organization, the IMF, and the G20. And in this vein, let me recall the initiative taken by Prime Minister Modi to start a discussion, a conversation within the G20 framework on the crisis. A very, very timely initiative that we support. So what we need is a fast, massive, and coordinated action globally to face the crisis. And in this respect, India and the EU can work together and actually are working together.
All right. Also, to understand the kind of evacuation effort that's going on around the, around the entire globe, there are several European citizens that are still stuck in India. How are you managing that humongous exercise? Are you facing any challenges? Can you shed some light on those?
Well, as you may remember, commercial flights stopped on the 24th of March, and since then we have been assisting member states in the organization of special flights to bring the tourists back home. We, as EU delegation, we try to support them in this effort. It's a complex operation. Inevitably, it's also a large operation because it involves probably several thousand people. We have all been very fortunate to be able to count on the full support of the Indian authorities.
All right. So in terms of challenges, are you facing any issues?
Well, as I said earlier, it's a complex logistical operation to bring all these tourists together in gathering points and to board them. in these special flights, commercial airlines are suspended. So indeed, there are challenges that we try to meet together. Member states are in the lead, and the cooperation of the Indian authorities has been much appreciated in this respect.
Coming to the unilateral sort of, I would rather say, the multilateral cooperation as far as United Nations is concerned, is, some of your member states that are sort of part of the UN, Security Council, is there a thinking going on that, this issue, which has become turned into a pandemic, and China's role in it needs to be discussed as the UN did in terms of HIV/AIDS or the Ebola outbreak?
Well, look, beyond national borders, we must act collectively. There is a global challenge that needs to be met at global level. So we do want a coordinated global response, and we will work for it in all appropriate fora. The virus disregards national borders, so we cannot stop our national borders in facing it. Absolutely. So full use must be made of all multilateral mechanisms, including the UN and the World Health Organization. And we, the European Union, we support global efforts for a cohesive response of the international community. Right today, the Ursula von der Leyen has announced a package of assistance for the international response to the virus of 15 billion euro. So it's going to be a multifaceted effort, endeavor, dealing with the health aspects, humanitarian aspects, and also the economic fallout. It's something we sorely needed. We need international solidarity, we need international cohesion, and the global response to the crisis. And the UN has also a role to play in that.
Also, India has recently allowed, although in a very restricted format on a case-to-case basis, export of some of the key drugs that are being, proven effective for coronavirus, which is hydroxychloroquine and paracetamol. I do understand some of the EU countries are also facing a huge demand. So how do you see this from India's perspective, and do you think India should be exporting those more?
Well, look, the demand for these drugs is increasing worldwide. And recall that at the recent G20, leaders said that all measures adopted in the context of the crisis would have to be proportionate, refraining from creating unnecessary barriers to trade. They simply to say that countries have to ensure that supplies meet domestic needs. This is obvious. Domestic supply must be ensured, but we also need to work all together in a spirit of solidarity to keep global supply chains operational for the common good, avoiding unnecessary strains and disruptions to the distribution networks. So it is in this spirit that we work, and we are working with all our partners.
Okay. Also, on the other hand, I do believe that the European Commission came out with a statement recently that you will be ramping up production for the PPEs, the personal protective equipment. Now, should there be a situation where India would need them, will the European Union sort of export them to India if there is a need, because India is facing huge shortages for the PPEs?
Yes, well, indeed, the needs are great at home domestically, but the EU is also ready to assist others. We in the European Union, we have offered help. We have offered help to many, but we've also received help from many partners, and we continue to receive help from many partners. I mean, we are in constant conversation, and I can say that this cooperation is experienced day in, day out. So it remains essential that we all remember, in a spirit of solidarity, that the world is one, and the virus respects no border. So it's in this spirit that I mentioned the 15 billion package just launched by the Commission for international assistance. It's in this spirit that the European Union will continue to work.
All right. Ambassador, my last question to you would be in terms of challenges that are being faced by the European, huge number of European companies that are operating in India with the lockdown going on. And there may be, in all probability, the lockdown might be extended. If that happens, what are some of the impending challenges that you think the European firms operating here can be facing? what are they telling you in terms of the challenges that they're facing here?
Well, look, the situation is posing severe challenges to all, be it individuals or companies. We are all aware of it. On the lockdown, I mean, the experience is that science-based guidance is essential. So measures need to be taken based on the best available scientific expertise. At the same time, this being a pandemic, we all need to work together at global level for a coordinated response and try to ensure that global supply chains and distribution networks remain open. So it's a difficult balance, it's a difficult call, and I think science is what guides us all.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for your time. I do understand these are difficult times. I wish you all the best. Take care, and thank you for talking to ThePrint.